This is Mrs. Samsel. We are coming today with a brand new art lesson for you. We're going to create a tunnel pop book. Annabelle, show them.
So this is the one my mom is doing, or you could do a cute landscape with a lot of animals.
So we picked either a landscape or an ocean picture.
You don't have to do an octopus. You can do like a shark or something.
So follow along and share with us what you create. We look forward to creating art with you today. Remember to be respectful, be responsible, be kind, and be creative. So what we're gonna need are 2 pieces of construction paper. I picked blue. The color really doesn't matter. That will be for your accordion fold on the sides. You're going to need 3 pieces of white paper. So I just picked printer paper that I had at home. And then to color your pictures, you can use markers, crayons, colored pencils, and to draw, pencil and eraser. To cut things so that it has that depth to it, your scissors, glue. I think a glue stick would be better, but if you have a glue bottle, that's okay. And a ruler. Okay, to make the accordion fold for your book, you're gonna use your construction paper. You can see that these are gonna be the sides, and we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna begin by taking my paper and folding it in half. And this is the horizontal way. So your paper should be horizontal, folded in half. So we also call it a hamburger fold. The line that goes down the middle, we're gonna cut and separate it into 2 pieces. Now this gets folded in half. And I'm gonna take this edge that's open, where the opening is, and fold it back up to the fold. Flip it over and do the same thing. This folds up to the edge, and that becomes my M fold. I'm gonna repeat it with the second half. Folding it in half, bringing it in on the fold. Mommy's not gonna stop the video. And to the other side, flipping it over. And now I have my 2 M's. So now I have 4 accordion folds. I'm gonna set those aside. And you'll notice that the paper, if I have it horizontal, will tuck in, and these will kind of, just so you can plan ahead with me, be how we'll layer it up. So my paper is going to be of an ocean, and this is gonna be the background with the water and the ground for the sand and maybe some coral. And I'm gonna start by drawing my ideas in pencil. But before I do, I want to create a border with my ruler. So every picture will have a border with your ruler. That will help you figure out where to cut, where to glue the paper. So make sure I'm trying to get that width of the ruler. I'm not using the ruler to measure. If you want to measure about 1 inch, but you can also just use the width of the ruler to make sure that all 4 sides are equal. Now with the background picture, I can leave this open and it'll give me more ocean. And then I'm gonna visualize that here's the sand, and here's some water, and then I can start adding some detail with some coral. I can even create some distance by adding another little sand area and start building up the coral. Now that I've got my basic background for the ocean water, a few fish, I made some coral, some plants, some seaweed, some starfish, and the sand, I can move on to my second paper. With the second paper, I'm gonna wanna trace my ruler on all 4 sides. So just like last time, using the width, holding it down, using the width, holding it down. And this time I'm gonna do the top. So I have a border on all 4 sides and my ocean picture will go inside. Okay, so now that we have our second paper with our border around the side, I'm going to think about what I want to pop out of that. So I'm gonna create one big ocean creature. It could be a whale, it could be a shark.
It could be an octopus.
That's right, so I'm gonna select an octopus. And I wanna think about my picture here. I left some space for the octopus to hang out. If I do him on this side, he's gonna cover the fish from my previous drawing. So we have to think about what we drew last to not have it cover. And I'm gonna have him coming off of the paper because we're gonna wanna cut out, which is a little bit higher level. So keep things as simple. When I think of an octopus, we think of a circle and 8 legs. So I'm gonna have him coming off the paper here. And I'm gonna start with my 8 legs, and I don't have to get all 8 in there because maybe some are coming up and being cropped. So this is a cropped image. Yes, I've already showed that, thanks. So I only have 3 of his legs, and his other legs would kind of start coming off in the border and off the page, which sometimes we talk about in art class when our object or our image is so big that we can't fit it on the page. So if 8 legs freaks you out and that's too much, don't worry about it because I made mine zoomed in and I only got part of the legs.
And you don't have to do an octopus. You can do another animal, like a whale or a fish. Well, not a fish.
You could make a larger fish. And so I'm gonna erase some of these border lines.
Or you can make a mermaid if you...
Ooh, that's a good idea too. And now I'm gonna start adding the tentacles, or the little, well, these are the tentacles, but the dots, the little suction cups. So I'm gonna make a line and then just add circles.
Did you know if you go too close to a octopus, they could hug you in so close that you couldn't breathe?
Facts by Annabelle. Okay, so now that I've got my main character on the second page, I do want to always think a little bit about the ground in case it shows. So this will be just a little bit of sand. And that'll be easier for when we cut later. So. Okay, so now we have our border for our third picture. This one, I'm gonna keep it simple. On the outside, I'm gonna have some sand, and this will be the water and the bubbles. So we do want to see the outside of the border. If you look at my finished example, we have the outside of the border as part of our picture and then kind of just a character. So I'm thinking in this one, I'm gonna have the character be a fish coming out. So right here, I'm gonna make a fish and some sand and ocean water. Now that we have all three pictures drawn in pencil,
it was in fast motion, so make sure you got it.
We will go ahead and color these pictures. You can color them with crayons, colored pencils,
I'm gonna be help coloring.
And markers. And then when we're done coloring, we'll come back and show you how to cut and put it all together.
Here we have my mom coloring the background.
Remember, we always talk about coloring in the same direction so it doesn't look like a messy scribble. Okay, so now we've colored our pictures. This is the background, all the way colored with the water, the sand, and the fish. Then my second one will be the octopus, and then the cover of the tunnel book. So in this empty space here, I need to cut. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my paper and press it in half just a little bit, making sure I'm not cutting any of my art. And this just is an easier way to get a start without jabbing a hole and hitting your hand. So I made this little hole and I'm just gonna follow along and cut along the edge and the octopus. Okay, so now I have the octopus all cut. You can see how he's gonna layer in there, and I'm gonna cut my top page. And this one you can see I kept it simple. I'm just gonna cut out that white part. Okay, so now I have all my pieces cut out to make my ocean tunnel book. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my back picture and take 2 of the construction paper pieces, and I'm gonna tuck the paper in. So I'm gonna put some glue here and have it stick inside, so the construction paper will be on the back. I'm gonna repeat onto this side. So it's gonna go inside with the construction paper on the back. Now for the second paper, this is the cute octopus. He is going to get glued on top. So I put my glue stick right on top. Line the paper up. Now, depending on your age level, you could, if this was a little bit challenging, I had Noelle, she was cutting out shapes. So you could do just a background picture, make the accordion folds and glue some shapes out on the side of it, and play around with it. So put some glue here. So if you think it's easier for you to maybe do just a back page and a cover page, and then in the middle cut out animals or creatures and glue those on, you can too. However you want to create your art. So you can already see some of that space from page 2. Okay, now we're ready for our last page of our tunnel book. What we're going to do is glue the back right on top of page 2. So I take the back, and always double check your work to make sure you have your folds right. press it down. Okay, so on the back, that's where that glue goes. And press that down. The very last is putting on the top page. So again, I'm gonna take my glue stick, put it on the top of the construction paper. Trying to line it up nicely since this is my cover page. I'm pressing it down flat. And are you ready for the magical pop-up?